Cool. Awesome. Totally just made me a little tired. All right. So let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Torrie O'Neill, founder of the Mighty Dames, and we're back for another roll call interview series. And today I am joined with Jess. Hi, Jess.
Hello.
Do you prefer Jess or Jessica?
If I'm in trouble, Jessica is fine, but usually Jess is just how I go. Just never call me Jessie. Just never call me.
Yeah,
Jessie.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm not a Jessie.
Yeah, no. Okay. All right. Okay. So we met like, I think we met online through the Mighty Dames a little bit ago, but we had our first like in-person meeting at the role model camp in August.
Yeah, I like stalked you in the thing. I was like, I know that's Torrie, and I'm like sit next to her. And I'm
like sitting in the back row. We're like,
yeah,
I know her. Is she? Us, the girls like, we'll find a way to break the ice. Eventually, we broke the ice. Clearly,
yes.
Yes. All right, so let's give everyone like your BJJ stats, like where you train, how long you've been training, your belt, and like, what got you into jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so my home gym is Red Schiefer MMA in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I own FitPOWER LLC, which is an affiliate gym to Red Schiefer MMA. So Red is our black belt. I've been training for, 2011 or 12, wait, math, 8, 9, 2012 maybe. You know what? Over 8 years. I will just say that. I can't quite remember, but it was in the fall. Mm-hmm. And I just remember my friend saying, hey, I think you'd really like this. And I was teaching boot camps at my first gym. And he dragged me onto the mats. He's like, I really think you're going to like this. And then lo and behold, fell in love with it and been rolling ever since. So I am a brown belt.
Hey.
I was supposed to test in March, but then everything shut down the weekend that we were planning to test. And so I just tested in December. I made sure that our other belts were able to get in and test in small groups first. And then mine came at the end, which was good. It was great. Yay. Because more people, like we understood what was going on more so in the world, and it felt safer and it felt better. And some really important friends and people in my life were there. So it made it a little bit more special, I guess you would say. So yeah, it was good.
Isn't like, there's something about like getting promoted, even though like the higher up you get, you realize that like the belt isn't, it isn't the end all be all. It doesn't really affirm anything besides a rank. But there's something about when they put that cloth around you, you're like, oh my God, I did it. You're just like,
I did a thing. Yep.
You did it. You did a thing. Yeah.
And I was like, I was completely okay being a purple belt for 4+ years. I think I was approaching like the 4+ year mark or something like that. And I'm like, this is fine. It's fine. I'm not going anywhere. So just keep it around. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we do like the testing at our gym, and it's basically that's the only way you can get promoted is you go through the testing, or I said the president, or if you win a certain if you compete, if you are a competitor and you win like a higher level tournament, but you have to have like a certain amount of competitors. Like you can't go in there with like one person, win worlds and get promoted. But if it's semi-competitive thing and you place in it, and like if it's very competitive and you just platform, you can get promoted that way. Okay. So that's how I did for my purple. And then, but I didn't know it. So I did the American Nationals last year, and I won like 2 of the division, 2 out of 3 of them. But then like the next month we had like the Orlando Open. Yeah. And I won that, and he podium promoted me. And like, the only thing I can remember is like calling my coach an asshole. Which is not a great response, because I was like crying. Like he's like, oh, I want to take a picture. So my teammate was like holding the picture, and I'm looking at my 2 gold medals, like, hey. He comes up there like, you asshole. And like I told, like how you said you had your family there and like important people around you. Yeah. I literally told him, I was like, y'all don't have to come to this. It's like a normal. It's an Orlando Open. It's fine. You have stuff to do. Yeah, my mom is like. Okay, my mom is a Kentucky like basketball player. Okay. Played her whole life, played through college. So she has been waiting for one of her children to like be in an athletic event and really excel. She knows nothing about jiu-jitsu, but every time there's one like locally, she is there, she is cheering, she's ready for it. So it's like this is the first one she misses, and we're getting promoted. So she was pissed.
Yeah.
But
It
I
was still a good
literally,
day though, right?
yeah, and that was awesome day. There's a they actually got a picture of me. Some of our friends were the photographers for the event, and I'm literally just like, she got a picture of me like watching everyone else compete. I'm just like with my blue belt over here, my new purple belt on, and I was a little tubby at the time, so the belt my coach got me wasn't like a full fit, so it was just like a little like this is the belt.
It just tied like this.
Yeah. It made it past the black bar, but barely. But I'm like smiling like this in the distance, like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like, don't even care. Yeah.
it was pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So one of the reasons I really wanted to talk to you is you at your gym, you have things, it's a little bit different than some of our other guests who have been coaches who have come on here. One of the things about FitPOWER that's different than some of the other gyms is you guys are also a barbell gym. So how did that come about? Oh yeah. How did that come about, and like how does that work with having like a barbell gym and a jiu-jitsu gym within kind of the same home?
So that's a very interesting kind of hybrid, and I'm kind of happy that you asked about that because I don't get to talk about it as much as other things. We're a barbell gym first. The martial art part came afterwards. So my master's degree is in exercise phys, and technically I'm trained, I guess you could say, or educated to be a clinical exercise physiologist, meaning like I can work in cardiac rehab units in hospitals and stuff like that. Two things wrong with that is I don't like being told what to do by other people very often, unless I hire you specifically to tell me what to do. And I wanted to work behind the scenes. I don't like being front and center so much. I like creating like the background success for people, for other people to kind of like amplify themselves forward. And so barbell was a big part of that. Being a coach was a big part of that. Just being strong, because if you're strong, like it translates to any sport. General strength can be applied to any sport, which is, and so usually when people think of, oh, I'm going to do barbell work, they think of powerlifting or weightlifting. What you have to think of is those two things are sports. Powerlifting is a sport in itself, and weightlifting. So there's a very specific skill set that comes with it. And there are very specific things you do to train for those to become stronger and more efficient in those movement planes. But when we're talking about general strength, it can be applied to anything out there. So yeah, barbell was first. We do have a powerlifting team here. You know, we're not like huge, like national level, whatever. We are, hey, does this interest you? And do you want to become good at it for you? Is this, you know, it's usually very personal. Then yeah, I'm here for you, and let's get you on the platform. Martial arts came second. I remember, and I feel so bad now, but as kids, you know, I had a neighbor and I made fun of him for doing karate and stuff like that.
Okay, in all honesty, we all made fun of people for doing karate and taekwondo.
I mean, but yeah, he was really into it, and then I was just like, I'll never be into martial arts. I like organized sports. I am this, and it's like, you know, being a cocky asshole of a kid into your teenage years and then into your 20s. And then, so when I got into jiu-jitsu, what I noticed more than anything, and it's changing now, which is really, really cool. It's changing. But more than anything, people are like, no, you just do the art and you'll be good at the art. And you'll be strong in your sport. And it's just like, yeah, but I have the same skill set as person B over here, but because I lift, I smash them. Like we're the same weight or same weight class, same everything, but because I'm stronger, I'm going to win, you know? So like, yeah, technique can beat strength if strength has no technique. So it was so difficult. Like in the first like few years, just telling people like, no, you should lift for your sport. And as a coach, I've evolved. So like it's, how I bring it up to people now is different, and how I approach people about strength and their sport is different. And now we're getting a lot more people involved with it. And it is super helpful to have a barbell gym in the same space as our martial arts space, because our barbell members see our jiu-jitsu people, and our jiu-jitsu people see our barbell people. And it's just kind of like, that's really interesting. I wonder about X, Y, and Z on that side. And then you become more than just a one-dimensional athlete.
Yeah.
And that to me is really important. I did have a coach tell me once, they were like, you know, everything you do revolves around jujitsu. Is there anything else about you? And I was like, yeah. Then they were kind of like, well, where is it? What is it? And I was like, okay. And then I started to look at my athletes and at my people. And I was just like, okay, I am seeing this very one-dimensional obsession with this one thing. So how do we break that up? How do we make the experience of movement, how do we spread it out, knowing that you can do lifting and you can do jujitsu and you can do all these things, but they all apply to the fact that you get to move your body in a stronger way. So that's the merging, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the original question was. This is why I have a script, Torrie. This is why I have a script.
you basically covered it.
Okay.
But it's cool because like I think especially now with like the emergence of MMA growing even more popular, it's not rare to see like dual sport gyms in like the jiu-jitsu sense. Like for instance, our gym is a jiu-jitsu gym and a Muay Thai gym. So we have both aspects. There's a couple down here that are like boxing and MMA. I mean, boxing and jiu-jitsu, or some do MMA and jiu-jitsu, and you know, they have equal parts, but like you said, sometimes they're very separate. They're two different entities. But you get that crossover a lot. But I haven't heard of one that was like barbell and jujitsu. That's one I hadn't heard. So when you were telling them about that, like, that's quite interesting.
Kind of rules, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see like, and even that, you see like, you see some gyms that have like a quote unquote like fitness area.
Yeah.
Like in their gym, like we're redoing our gym and it's kind of going to be like that, where we're going to have now, you know, weights and, you know, I don't know what they're doing over there. We're adding more stuff in there so you can do your work on actual like that form of fitness and not just jujitsu. You have other ways you can supplement it, but it's cool that yours is not just for like, oh, when you come in, if you want to go do some bench press, like no, like we have a whole program, like a whole area of our gym for this, and you're treating it as a sport versus as a supplement. And yeah, I like that.
We do have some people who, you know, they do strength train for jujitsu specifically, but because of that, I get to introduce other things to them, like Atlas stones and carries and like just fun stuff that they normally wouldn't think of. You know, a lot of people think, well, if I'm going to lift, I'm going to do some bench press, I'm going to do some squats. And we all see the memes where like, your bench press isn't going to get you out of a bad situation in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, actually it does. And it has gotten me out of some bad situations. I got a pretty sweet shrimp here and a pretty good frame. I'm out. But it introduces people to different ways to look at their strength and how to apply it on the mats, and how their strengths on the mats can be applied in the weight room as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then on top of that, so you guys, like we talked about, you do have people who do like jujitsu for their MMA. I'm not jujitsu for their MMA. That do they do like lifting for their jujitsu, but like you guys do programming too, like at the gym and online.
Oh yeah. Right now, our jujitsu programming, like, so if you're in the gym, like if you're actually physically here with me, like I just told people, like I've stopped actually taking in-person people because like I'm too full on that side, and then I can't focus on the virtual side. But we have a class specifically called Power Conditioning, and it's based off of, you know, building power, building capacity. So it's not just one thing to be powerful. If I can only be explosive once on the mats, I'm not going to do too well if my opponent can be explosive twice. You know, so one of those things. So it's not only being explosive, but how many times can you be explosive over and over again with the same, or at least close to the same power output that you did on the very first explosive movement.
Gotcha.
That's just a small example. Another aspect of it is, so then there's the virtual side of things, which is what is taken off. We have maximizing strength phases 1 through 4. We have a 4-week building camp, a 6-week camp, and then we have a bridge program. And a bridge is just, it's that usually 3 to 4 week span of time where you just competed and you're getting back into the weight room. So many people think, oh, I just competed, I'm fresh, I'm fine, I can go back in. The difference with jiu-jitsu and lifting, jiu-jitsu has a lot of gray areas. You can tell your partner to flow. You can tell, you can go lighter, you can go easier. If you can't get out of a situation one way, there's probably 3 other doors that you haven't tried yet that you can get out of. With barbell, you're going to lift the weight or you're not. The bar could give 2 shits. If
it's pass or fail.
If it's like if you're doing a squat and you can't get out of a squat of if you can't get out of the hole of a maybe 80% of your 1 rep max after a tournament, that, that means that you're pretty fatigued and your central nervous system is probably more shot than you think it is. So even if you don't feel sore, soreness is not an indicator of fatigue. So usually what you just feel is just kind of heavy and kind of tired, and like you may be moving a little bit slower in jiu-jitsu, but you don't really notice because you're just trying to flow roll, or you're just doing a drill, or just this or just that. But then you get in the weight room and you try to pick up right where you left off. You're going to fail. Or you might get injured, or maybe you'll make it through the first workout or two, but then your nervous system is so shot that you have to take 3 weeks off because you're so tired. Or maybe you would just have to do some bar work because you're so tired. So that bridge is what introduces you to different movement planes and patterns. So it's kind of like a fun time, and the weight is dropped significantly so that the fatigue can wear off. You still get to work on skills, but but then you're set to go for your next phase.
Okay. So like, I'm just listening to you. It's like, okay, well, clearly I'm going to set up a time. I'm going to have like a little vacation where I'm going to come up there. I'm going to go into your barbell gym. You're going to teach me all this stuff. I squat. I can't squat for shit.
You can.
It's okay. Let me change that idea. Let me explain my issue with squats. It's like, I have very large, like my weight mostly centers like in my hips and thighs area. And I'm tall, and I'm 6'1", and I have like the most narrow of feet. So like, I am very clumsy. I get off balance very much. And so whenever I like try to squat between all of that, I'm just like, oh, this is the worst. I hate this so much. And like, I've had trainers try to teach me before. They're like, why are you moving like that? I was like, I don't know. I thought that's how it's supposed to. No, that's not. This isn't right. But I'm the same way with jiu-jitsu. There's certain things that like for instance, it took me, I cannot tell you guys how I'm not joking with this. It took me like 2 years to do a forward roll properly. Because my brain would not compute that movement. And I mean, I could do every other thing. And I still, every now and then I'll go do a forward roll and just fuck it up completely. And again, I've been doing this for 6 years now. So that there's certain things that my brain will not connect with my body. And like, squatting is one of them.
Well, the great thing about a squat is it's a skill set and nothing more. And the more that you master the skill, that's one form of adaptation, is you have mastered the skill, you have created stability and a greater range of motion, which is where most people are like, oh, I can't hit depth and I fall over. It's just like, you just don't have the stability there yet.
I'm not stable at all. No. I will definitely say I lack stability. I lack stability on my own weight, let alone we try to add something else. So yeah, I agree.
All I'll say is like, yeah, you are not the first and you are not the last who like squats. They're just like, no, this is my enemy. If I were a superhero, this would be my arch nemesis, and this is how it is. But then once you figure out how to do a squat and you figure out how actually powerful those hips can actually be, you're just like, oh crap, I still hate squats. I don't like an implement on my back. I don't like back takes. I don't like when people take my back. Just get off me. But
that too, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, if I can't see it, I don't like it, because things don't register in my brain if I can't see them, or I lose confidence if I don't see them. Yeah, which is some of the best powerlifters. They just have this confidence, and they don't even care, and they just go. It's amazing to watch. But no, your squat could, I'm not going to say be easily fixed, but it's a skill set. Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's probably like, it's part that and part of the other part. Like, do I really want to do this?
Well, and that's the thing, if you're not into squatting, and like, so there's a ton of different ways to create a squat motion. And if having a barbell on your back, like if you're not going to compete in anything like that, there are other ways to create
that's what
adaptation. Yeah. You're not stuck with it.
Yay. That's awesome. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about before. So one of the things I noticed is when you gave your workshop at the role model camp is we're seeing a lot of people, and I think that at the Mighty Dames, we kind of do it too. We see more people buying into the body positivity movement, but you made a point to say that you and your gym are body neutral. So for people who don't know, what is the difference between those terms, and what led you to lead more to body neutrality versus positivity?
This is always tough because a lot of words get hijacked.
Yeah.
Body positivity to me is something that one with the original intention. I didn't want to hijack it as a white person in that space, because it was originated by Black bodies, especially specifically Black female bodies. That, you know, just trying to bring, and I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but just like trying to bring awareness that my Black body is perfect and it's beautiful the way it is, despite what years of our society has been trying to tell us. So, and I'm sure that like I could use body positivity in some form of a way, but body neutral to me just meant we're not focused on how your body looks, or we're not trying to bring attention to your body the way society would expect us to bring attention to it. We just want to see how it moves, and we want it to perform well. So body neutrality takes the focus off of the aesthetic of what a body should look like, what fitness should look like, what health should look like. And we're saying, well, this is how we're going to help you move. And that's it. And it takes away body neutrality, you know, takes away gender, it takes away body ability. So we have we have a few adaptive athletes now. So it encompasses so much more than just, am I presenting what society views as healthy or fit?
Gotcha. So to sum that up, it's like like you said, the aesthetic appeal of like how we present our bodies versus like, how is my body functioning for me?
Yep. Yeah. And that's how I view it. I'm sure, and if I took the term out of context, I definitely did not mean to, but body neutrality, I was so, growing up, there was so much focus on my body, and there was so much focus from adults on my body,
which
teachers,
is weird,
from peers, parents, grandparents, just like everybody, just like, should you be doing this? Because you might end up looking like this. I'm like, are you taking into account that you have me enrolled in swimming and softball? Like, you're at the age of 12, I'm doing 2 sports and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like, there was so much focus on making sure that my body stayed small as opposed to my body performed.
Yeah.
But it was just like, stop looking at my body. I would just get so upset, and I still get upset. Like, I don't like it. Like, if you look at me and I feel that you're trying to judge what I can do and how I perform and what kind of an athlete I am because of the body that I'm in, it enrages me, and it pisses me off to a point where it's very hard to explain unless you've been put in that position, not just once. Like, it's uncomfortable if you're put in it once, but over and over and over again, to almost where you're defensive over it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
It's like, again, like you said, people have the tendency to like presume they know your ability based on your appearance. And like, not only does like piss you off, but it's also very disheartening, because like you, like me, like a lot of the other women who are gonna be watching this, and some of the men, like, we work hard at our certain ability. We take time to develop as athletes, to develop as, you know, even if we take this out of the athletic world, like, I worked really hard to develop my brain in the scholastic sense. I studied hard. I did all these things, but still people will judge physical appearance and assume that I am this smart, or assume, like in jiu-jitsu, that you are only going to be so good because either, you know, you're a woman, either you're super small or you're super big. They're going to assume the game that you play. And then when you counteract that, or you like beat their expectations, the conversation then switches to well, of course you did well because of this. So it's like, well, which one is it? Am I going to fail at my performance because I look like this, or or my whole reason for success is purely for my body? Because we couldn't possibly both put the same amount of effort into this activity. And, you know, my physical attributes may, like you mentioned before, may have simply assisted me, but it doesn't mean that we didn't both equally train hard.
Correct. And like a super small example, and not one that I only get a little bit hung up on it when I go to big events where there's, and I've only had it where there's a lot of women in a room, where the amount of eye contact that gets avoided during open mats from anyone,
oh my gosh,
even a little bit smaller than myself, with the assumption that that's a big girl, she's not going to move, I'm going to get smashed, this is going to happen. It's just like, okay, yeah, I am a larger bodied person, and I'm coming into role. And because we're not competing, no, like if we're going to go compete and you're somebody smaller and I know you're going to move quicker, yeah, I'm going to smash the crap out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Because hold still, I got stuff to do. This is my game. But if we're out there in an open mat, or if we're out there, you know, drilling or just rolling, like I'm going to move quicker and I'm going to let you do things that I need to see more often. Like,
Yeah.
so it's almost the assumption that like, sometimes I feel like a big dumb caveman coming into an open mat space because of how many people are just like don't look at Kroll, don't look at them. They're just gonna Kroll smash. You know, like sometimes I feel like that when I enter into a space like that. I'm like, you're quick, but I'm pretty fucking quick too, and I'm also big, so I'm like a little freight train. So it's just those small things where once again you looked at me and you assumed that I was going to roll and compete in a very specific way.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I get that, and I also get the complete opposite. It's almost like that mentality of like, you know, the schoolyard when you're new kids, like go find the biggest person, try to knock them out to like establish yourself.
I've seen those too.
I get people who like, they see me again, like this 6'1", 280 plus girl, and they're like, I can take her. I'm going to do it. And they like, and I spoke with others previously about like a Girls and Keys event I went to where this like, I don't know what age orange belt is, but like an orange, and is that like
14?
Yeah. Okay. 14? Then that will make sense. Okay. Like an orange belt came up to me, like looked me up and down like I was small. And I'm gonna say the girl's, you know, she's probably like 5'6" or something like that. She's not like 5, like small. When I tell you, she gave me the work. She was like, attack. She and like, I don't really put that much, I don't really like try to put kids in their place. Cause like, I know what it's like to be like a young kid wanting to prove yourself. So like every now and then I'll definitely just like hold them in one spot a little longer. It's like, okay, girl, calm down a little bit. But, but I'll have people, but then on the other side, like I've had grown men kind of do that as well. Yeah. Like they're trying to like assert their dominance against because I'm bigger than them, but they're men. So they want to like, let me know. And then like I get on top, it's like, who knows now? But, that's something else I would see that doesn't get, that kind of, the only comparison I would say that I've seen with that is like when you get like a blue belt or like a newish blue belt, when they're like going against a high level person for the first time, like a brown belt or something, they're trying to do everything. They might be moving really hard and all that. And you're like, bro,
calm down.
You know how they I feel like being a bigger person, whether I want it or not, sometimes I like assume a certain amount of additional responsibility over my partners. And that because I have a larger body and because I know like all things equal, if we both go all out, like I will seriously hurt you in this moment. Yeah. So there's a little bit of edging back on there, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not about to let you go 100%. I'm going to go 5% or I'm going to go 50% because that's also how I get hurt, because you assume that because I'm bigger, I'm like indestructible. And it's like, no, I'm a bag of water. I will cry very easily and make you feel bad. So it's like, oh yeah, I cry like drop of the hat. I have no issues. Big bag of water, big crybaby. I
think it should also be just put it out there, because I know there's a role model camp coming up, and if anyone's listening to this, and this also comes with being a higher ranking belt. Like if you are significantly smaller than I am, even if I don't look as big as you think I am, like I'm sitting at a solid 220, and I also I lift a lot, and my intentions with anyone who's significantly smaller than I am, like my first and foremost job is to protect myself and to protect you. Like, you don't want to break your toys. Nobody ever wants to break your toys. So like, there's nothing to prove out there on the mats for me, except that we both have a very good 5-minute, 3-minute, whatever it is, time on the mats. So it's kind of like, just, wow, we're just kind of bringing up like all these like little roles and responsibilities that maybe we put on ourselves because we're just not sure how somebody else feels about it. I remember at Masters Worlds back in 2016, my first opponent was 4'9" and like maybe $115 in the absolutes. And I get it. Like her coach was just like, just run circles around her. And I think he meant more like, just be quick. No, she literally ran circles. I was looking at the ref like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? And then he's like, you have to make contact. And she's like, okay.
Listen, open weight is freaking hilarious. especially like we're both super heavies, right?
Oh yeah.
What's funny is what I see, what happens is it's rare for me to like, I feel like in all the times I've done open, I never get paired right away with like the featherweight or like that. You get the heavier half first.
Yeah.
And I guess their idea is like you'll like slowly inch out, but sometimes what happens is like the smallest person keeps winning and the largest person keeps winning. So you get this point where I have, I'll share this picture too. I'll put it up here somewhere where it's me, 6'1", super heavyweight Torrie, going into this other girl who's like maybe 5'2". And like the guys and like in the picture, he's raising my hand. So like my long ass arm is raised up too, like this. And the girl's on the other side.
You just see her face like here.
And
like
so
trying to get in the shot.
So the caption I put on there is like, open weight's not a game. And like you see it, it's just like this drastic thing. And I've seen even in situations like that or like higher level competitions when it's a smaller person. And I've had coaches come up to me afterwards like, I know you kind of let her down. You kind of pulled her down a little easy. I was like, well, I don't want to like just like slam this girl to the mat like that if it doesn't take the energy. But like, just telling everyone now, like if you're a middleweight or above, no mercy is shown to you. I'll say lightweight or above, no mercy is shown to you. But like super featherweights, when it's like, when we're talking about like, not like 30, 40, 50, we're talking like 100+ pound difference.
Yes.
Like that's like, how do I look trying to hip top? Like, my hips literally can't get under them. Like how do I feel? Yeah. Like how do I look trying to like just trip this person and like they literally.
Usually by then you just get a collar grab. You're like, okay, we're here now, and we're just gonna go to the ground.
It's funny. I gave a private lesson with a girl who's also like a super heavyweight. She's like, yeah, I have so much issue taking down smaller people. Like I can't get under them. I can't do this. Like, do you just shake them? Like what? Like grab the collar, grab this, and just like do a snap down. Just snap them down the mat. She's like, you're allowed to do this? Like, oh hell yeah, man! Just snap them to the mat. Just if you want a really good, run to the side and snap them down and have them.
Yeah. And then I go against somebody like you. I remember at Worlds a couple years ago, her name is Lama, and she's from Jordan. And at the time, do you know her?
No.
Okay.
I just know of the Georgian people.
Oh, that like, no, not Georgia, Jordan.
Jordan. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the country of Georgia that like has a lot of like power lifters and people of that kind of.
Well, I mean, she was 6'1", and I thought, I was just like, oh my God. Like I was literally like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And then she pulled the most beautiful deep half guard. Like she pulled guard. I was like, we're super heavyweights. When do we pull guard?
Yeah.
What's happening? Caught me completely off guard. And I was like, well, I'm here now. So I guess Worlds is over in my first match.
That's something I was joking with because like I'm very much anti-guard pulling, but I was like, I'm just gonna pull guard in a competition one time and just throw it.
Messes with them. It messes with them so much, but you can only do it once.
No, you can only do it once. But like I always say, like I always get the matches, of course, like there's few people who are like my height and size, but like the few times I get like, there's sometimes you can get like taken down or like, and like, it is such an unexpected takedown they get you with. And like, it hits you so hard that you almost can't get pissed off about it. And I had I had a girl who like, she just dropped down and tripped me over. I don't know. I'm terrible with the names of the move, but she dropped down in her, and she tripped me with the inside of her thigh. And she was, again, she was a solid 8 inches shorter than me. But like when she hit it, I went back and looked like, ooh, that was pretty. Cause when I fall hard. So like she hit it, it was like, boom. But like my whole thing is like, I'm a scrambler at the end of the day. It's like, if I get taken down, like it doesn't count if I get back up. So she threw my ass. It was like, she hit me hard. It was a solid ass thing. I jumped back up. I was like, oh shit, that was, woo-hoo. Or I think I like end up like from my knee, I like fell, got to my knees and got a double leg from my knees. Yeah. But like, I went back and like replayed it like, damn. Or if you go on my Instagram, I have like my very first tournament I ever did. Mm-hmm. And I get like maybe it's like a drop Cianagi or a head. I don't know. But again, someone significantly shorter than me, just here, Torrie. Ooh, boom. And you just see me trying to flail.
There was I had a competitor. She was like, she's maybe 5'5", probably 145 pounds, 150. She's a judoka, and then now she does, jujitsu. We were both purple belts, and she hit the most beautiful throw on me I have ever seen, to the point where she had me in side control. Like, it was a 0-point game because it was a sub only event. So being on my back, I wasn't too concerned, but I just looked at my coach and was like, they're like, you need to do this, you need to do this. I was just like, in my head, I was just like, yeah, but you see how good that was?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Just how beautiful that was? So half the time, if I get thrown, I'm just like, that was pretty sweet. How'd you do that? Because we never get to fly.
No,
we
no
never
one ever throws the big girls. They do the trips, or they'll pull guard. So like when someone actually, and not like during class or something where we're not.
No, when it catches you off guard and you feel light as a feather until the wind is knocked out of you, that is beautiful.
Yeah, like I think we just keep mentioning the camp, but I think at the camp I rolled with Rizza, and she got a takedown on me too. I was like, okay, she got me down, all right. And it's like, sometimes I have to remember, I was like, Torrie, we're not applauding people right now. We're rolling. And I do that too, where I don't know where the transition happened for me, where I used to get pissed off when I got submitted, to now being like impressed when someone hits a certain submission with me. I was like, I still get pissed off on certain submissions. I will say that, but like when they hit one, I was like, yeah, I did not see. Actually, I get pissed off when people try to sweep me, only because like I have like my pajama shorts on, and I'm not gonna like show my ass on the screen, but like I have solid thighs. Like I am, I have a rock solid base. I am hard to do. So like some sweeps don't bother me. Like when someone decides to like scissor sweep me, it legitimately enrages me. Like, what do you think was gonna happen here? You just basically kicked me for nothing. Like there's a guy at our gym, his name's Alex, who's like in his 40s, and he always tries to scissor. It's like his goal in life is to scissor sweep me. At the most, he might tip me over a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
I'm going to take notes because there's an entire scissor sweep series I've been working. I'm like, I wonder if this one would actually work on Torrie.
It's literally like I'm the litmus test for certain people. They're like, well, if you could do this on Torrie, like if you can get Torrie to like lose balance on this, you can do this on someone else. I'm like, no, you're just pissing me off. Stop trying to don't get under me. I have a whole weird I have a whole weird stance on certain things in jiu-jitsu and things that I do versus things that I don't do, and like why I don't do them. I'm very, very odd in the sport.
I mean, I get mad if people grab my neck.
See, I do a lot of wrestling.
Well, I do too. It's just I had like chronic neck pain for like 3 years because of somebody deciding to do a drill on me without letting me know that they were going 100%. So it gave me like severe whiplash. So I get pissed off if anyone touches my neck now. So like I usually avoid it, and I'll just like drill through you. But I get the little rage things once in a while.
I get.
But I think what we're talking about though with things going to the side is like you don't know when it happens, but all of a sudden your ego gets put in check, and you're like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, that's something I had to I won't say I struggled with, but something I had to actively not do. I think a lot of us, we have a certain expectation of ourselves, like how we're going to succeed in, whatever given event or venture. And when we like fall short of our own expectations, it can be kind of a blow. Yeah. And either we do like one of two things: we can accept it, or we find reasons to explain why this happened that has nothing to do with us. Like, oh, the ref robbed me, or, the mats were so freaking slippy. How could I do this? Right. So I was realizing that I would do that. And I made a conscious effort to stop. So when I do take like big L's, like when I did the American Nationals, I want to say like I did gi and no gi. For no gi, I lost my my division. I lost in the finals match on a ref's decision. I was pissed. Someone got a picture of me where I just look pissed. I'm just like looking off to the side. It's like, I'm so angry. But my thing is I give myself like 10 to 15 minutes to just like feel that rage. Mm-hmm. And I try to let it go, because especially in like a sport like jiu-jitsu, it's like we mentioned before, we're all working hard. We're all reaching for a goal. We have this talk about unity and all that. It's like, so for me to take another woman's victory away because she didn't do anything, she didn't whisper in their ref's ear like, hey, give it to me.
Right.
You know, like she did not know who was going to win either. And for me to be like so enraged in my ego and have such a fluffed up ideal of myself to let this, you know, tarnish someone else, like I've had it, maybe it's a bigger girl thing too. I've had it done to me so many times where even though I win, there were so many excuses to why I won. It didn't even like feel good to me anymore. That like, I'm not going to do this to someone else. So I get over myself. I go like I always go, you know, shake their hand. Then like afterwards when we're like all kind of hanging around, like waiting to get our medals, I make sure to make it a point to talk to people. I'm like, oh my, that was a really good thing. Like like you beat me, like, good job. Like I try to be a little bit more conversational because I just don't want them to have those negative feelings.
Right.
Reversely, it fueled me to go through like open weight and just smash everyone on my way to winning, knowing in my head also was like, I'm going to see her tomorrow for gi and she won't go down the same. Right. And ended up winning when I did gi, but not just like speak shit. Then I later found out that they were actually making the same excuses of why they lost to me. I'm like, you beat me once, but I beat you, and it's not because of her. It's not because of my. It's like, okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone. But at least I know I did my part to make sure that another woman's her accomplishment wasn't dimmed by my own ego.
Yeah,
and that kind of helps me kind of, again, like with the great thing about jiu-jitsu is there's always another tournament, there's always another match. So whether it's I lost at World or, you know, you lose at a local Naga, it's like jiu-jitsu. I'm not a competitor to make money. I'm a competitor to test myself and to get shiny things. I got another shiny thing. It wasn't the shiny thing I wanted, but I still got a shiny thing. So like, is this going to ruin my whole trip to Vegas? Nah, we're going to go drink some mimosas and chill the hell out and, you know, on to the next. So
I think that's a really good perspective to have, because what we also have to remember is that there's probably 1% of the entire small jiu-jitsu community actually goes out and competes for cash, or they can, I would say probably even less than 1% of the jiu-jitsu community can make a living off of competing for cash, not owning a school, competing, and you're a professional athlete for cash. So it kind of, the competition ego. I mean, I had it for like 2 years where I placed all my self-worth, and if I didn't win, then it must mean this. Yeah. So no, I get that, but just remember, like this is a great art and a great skill to learn. But 99% plus of us are doing it as a hobby. Yep. It's a hobby.
Yep. And that was another really great tool for me to like not be like a belt detective and be like, oh, well, she got her belt before me. Why? How could she get it before me? And I did this because of this, or like someone else advancing or doing better at certain tournaments, or like because of my work and my other obligations, I can't be like a hyper competitor. And I don't want that life. Like I know I don't compete a lot. I can't then get upset when someone I know goes to a bigger tournament and wins when I'm like, fuck, I like mop them at our local tournament, but they're winning this tournament. Like, why did I was like, but that's not your path.
Right.
You decided not to be a hyper competitor. So you then don't get to be upset with this person for following their goal and, you know, being a competitor. If anything, you are a part of their journey that helped them achieve their goal, just like they're a part of my journey to help me achieve my goal. So I still struggle, especially like during COVID, we had Pans and we had Worlds literally 30 minutes from my house.
Backyard. Yeah.
And I didn't do either one of them. I couldn't do either of them. And I had to almost every day tell myself, like, you said you weren't competing in 2020. You're sticking to not competing in 2020. Health-wise, financially wise, we're not doing it. When I tell you how many times I had all of my information on the computer and just card information in, I just had to click send. I was like, no, we said we weren't doing this. We're not doing it.
Right.
So like watching people get these medals, I was like, fuck, I could have been there. This could have been me.
Right.
Like, that's not my path right now. And I have to accept that this wasn't a rash decision. I chose this for a reason. I have to stay true to that.
Yep. Same thing with this year. And that's something that I had to, so like I was practicing 5 days a week, at least when my business was smaller. Like I purposely downsized my business from 2016 to 2018. Cause I was like, I don't want a lot of people, I didn't have the martial art part. We've only had the martial art part of our gym since 2019. Like that's pretty new. Yeah, it's super new. And we were growing huge. And then COVID hit, and now we're staying steady, but we haven't been able to grow the martial arts side at all. But something I had to do is I had to switch my mindset from athlete first and then coach to coach first and then athlete. So it switches your priorities a little bit, and it meant, I can't go compete every month like I was doing, or every other month like I was doing. I can't afford it anymore either, but yeah, it just puts things into perspective. But then there's so much more joy I've gotten out of jujitsu since I've stopped focusing so much on myself and I've watched other people grow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, we've completely deviated, but that's totally cool. It's
we
probably going to
knew
be
it would happen.
Yeah, well, like this is what happens. Either I actually get within the time limit I want, or it becomes a two-part podcast to keep it within my time limit.
I laughed so hard when you were like, it'll be 30 minutes. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I've been trying so hard, but I think I've done like 20 of these now. Of the 20 I've done, I think maybe 2 have been like in the 35-minute range.
Okay.
Almost every other one has been 40 to 50 minutes. So
yeah.
For now on, we are keeping these at around the 35-minute. If anything goes over this, and I feel like we need to get it out there. Like a lot of the conversation that we just had nothing to do with the questions I want to ask you, but it's a really good, important conversation that'll come out in a bonus episode.
Cool. I like that.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna condense it, but we're gonna have a bonus episode of all the other stuff we're talking about. Okay. So another thing that I think we bonded over is like, we're both in that, LGBTQ plus, add as you will community, and your gym worked very hard from the beginning to make sure that was a welcoming space for everyone. Like you have multiple of the flags hanging in your gym too, which I saw that I was like, so pretty.
They are pretty. Yes.
So was that something that, because you were in the community, you wanted to make sure your space had something for you and your other people? Was that something like you actively knew you wanted to make a part from the beginning? Or was it something like over time, you're like, you know what, I could, like, why not make sure people, like, there's being inclusive and then there's being like visibly inclusive.
Yeah.
So like, was it an active decision to like, I'm absolutely going to do this? Or was it like over time, you're like, okay, yeah, let's just do this?
I mean, if we're talking about the flags specifically, that was an active decision. When it comes to my coaching staff, that was an active decision. Being part of the LGBTQIA community, and, so if people knew me before Chris, they know I've,
and Chris is
my partner, my husband. Yeah, the H words are hard for me to say. For those who don't know, I have a stutter and it sucks sometimes, but I'm getting around it.
Yeah. I thought you were just choking back the word husband, like, oh God, he's my husband.
No, I don't care that no.
Because I have straight friends who are like, yeah, that's my husband. So like, I've heard that type of tone. That's what I thought you were saying.
When I find peanut butter and jelly on the ceiling, then yeah, I'm like, that's my husband. And then, but Chris is a phenomenal guy. Chris is a phenomenal guy. And for those, so if we're going to talk about the LGBTQIA stuff, as you grow, you kind of you go through different ways that you identify, and some people don't like to identify at all. But like, if I put myself under something, it would be pan. And it was like I've had past partners, men, women, trans, didn't matter. If I was attracted to them and they had a good heart, like that's who I want to be around. So for those people who knew me before Chris, everyone knew I was part of the LGBT community, because I was dating my partner at the time, before Chris. But, most people who met me after Chris, they didn't know. And because, Chris is a cis, white, hetero guy. And as a cis white woman myself, like there's a lot of passes that I get in this world. So you wouldn't just look at me and be like, oh, clearly she's queer, obviously. If you looked
family, we know.
If you looked at baby queer Jess, you'd be like, oh my God, what were you doing at the age of 18?
Listen, I feel that everyone gets a pass from like 18 to 23, because like, if you look at me, there's a lot of beanies, a lot of V-necks, and Oh, but there was an eyebrow ring in there. Like, oh
Cat
yeah.
holes everywhere. Like I was like, just pierce me up.
Draped
Here I
in
am.
draped in a rainbow flag, just like, in case you don't know, like
Here
my
I am,
shirt,
world.
like,
Yes.
yeah. We want to make sure we knew, and then now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm just, a cis white femme presenting person. So, and I'm married to Chris. So clearly I've been this way like my entire time. So the LGBT, like that part, it's just, when I started seeing Chris, I actually got a lot of pushback from people in the LGBT community. They're mean, very mean. Like, oh, you betrayed us. You did this, you did that. I'm just like,
unfortunately not uncommon.
yeah, I was just like, but my loyalty isn't to you. Like, I'm not sure what you want me to say, but the people who were the most welcoming were my trans friends.
Yeah. Well, because like everyone shits on them.
Yeah. They were just like, that's awesome. Love who you love. This is awesome. I was like, yeah, it is awesome, isn't it?
Thank you.
But when it came to the space itself, I do have to give a lot of credit to one of our coaches, Coach Brad. They're our kids coach. They first had me start practicing the pronouns they, them, and this is before I had the space. So it just became part of my vocabulary before this bigger space opened up. And then it was a no, like some things are just a no brainer. Like having the flags up was like, yeah, why wouldn't I have the flags up? Where we purposely put the flags up was to represent, we tell people, and it's true, each of the flags that are in our space, they represent at least one member in our gym. And of course, obviously you don't tell anyone who it is because one, that's rude. Two, that's mega rude. And three, that's illegal on the stance of my end of a business owner. So it's just like, when you see that, and like on the tours, I said, I'm like, yeah. And then we have our flags and they do represent at least one person in our space. It puts people in check because, I'm not going to say every other gym, and this is always so tough because I've been in some amazing gyms, but no matter where you go, you're going to find some misogynistic and phobic stuff. Yeah. I just don't hear that here. And it's so nice that it doesn't occur in this space, in this gym, that I forget that it occurs in other gyms sometimes. So when I go somewhere, even at camps, even when I go to camps, and a lot of times I don't think it's intentional, but to remain with all this information, with everything that's happening in the world, to remain purposely blind to it, I do hold you somewhat accountable.
You should.
It's like, I'm going to hold you accountable because, and it's like, especially like for bigger things, like, and this is not, as a disclaimer, I'm not trash talking anything. It's just, these are things that I see. And these are things that, like, for example, any women's camp that I go to, I know as a cis woman, I was born AFAB, so assigned female at birth. And I identify with that. That makes me cis. Obviously, yes, this is an event for me. I can go here. If I were trans, would I feel that way? Yeah. Even though of course it's open for everybody. Do the people that sign up to go to these events, do they reflect that? Is it in their language as well? Are they inviting? Because, I mean, if you invite me to a camp that's all women, but it's primarily for, like, we'll say lightweights, it's specifically for featherweight people. As a larger bodied person, if I walk in there and I'm the only larger bodied person, yes, I know it's a women's event, but am I going to feel 100% comfortable? Yeah. Are there going to be, and I'm not, okay, so now I'm not trying to compare the two, but I'm just saying, like, if you don't know that I don't even know how to say it anymore. Yes, I do. If you are truly like invested in getting more people to these events that fall under this category, it has to be in your language. And that's something big that we do here at the gym. It's in our everyday language. Yeah. Phobic jokes are shut down if they even get to enter the space. Yeah. Misogynistic stuff is shut down because it's not funny. And I'm not saying like I'm a prude with stuff. Like I'm not just like, no, we don't say that. Like, yeah. But like the very clear things that are part of the misogynistic or rape culture, yeah, those things are shut down fast. And I don't care if you were just telling a joke, your intent versus the impact it made did not line up. So
Yeah.
we have to have a talk about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good, because also I'm glad that you pointed out it was the children's coach that mentioned it, because I think a lot of times what we forget about, or most of the gyms, like they like thrive with a rich children's program, because like there's the one who really buy into it, they grow up in it, they can get their friends to come in, and adults have a heady program too. So when you instill that type of culture and you instill that type of that understanding at a very young age, we've seen this time and time again. Kids do not care. They are taught a certain thing. So for them, if they're introduced to this type of behavior, like, oh yeah, well, that's the pride flag. This represents trans people. Yep. This one over here represents asexual, or like, you go through it just and say it as simple as like, this is the American flag and that's the Brazilian flag. Yeah. They're like, oh, okay, and accept it. But when you go into a space like, oh God, that flag's there, that means gays are afoot. Kids can they pick up your tone, but we've had, there's been instances where they had the flag and they're like, like I had rainbow boxing wraps before, like hand wraps. So like that's like something that I'll have. But I feel like when you introduce it into a space very casually and you don't have to make a giant declaration about it, people understand that it is not something that particularly needs a large declaration about it. No, it is one aspect of a person. While it does take up a large chunk of it, it does not have to take up the large part of like what they are doing in their space in the world, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I like that idea. Men, like you said, it forces other people to be like, why would you be offended? What are your preconceptions about someone who is gay, trans, non-binary? What is your preconception of what they're going to do to you that it instantly makes you uncomfortable? Right. I could very easily say, like, walk into a room full of white men makes me, based on history, as a Black woman, I shouldn't be here. No, some bad shit's about to go down. Like, I should be cautious of all of you. But I have to realize that, like, that is not every person. You can't put that on everyone. And let's see how the situation unfolds. So I really like that you do that, even though it's, like you said, it still gets into my mind that some things that are very like no brainer for one person can be like someone writing out a pro and cons list of, will we do this versus won't we do this to someone else? Right. Like it could be a very big contentious thing. I think if we do introduce more inclusive language, more inclusive practices early on, people who then come and join your group, they tend to take over that understanding as well and realize it's really not that big of a deal. And then plus, again, like you said, it humanizes people. It does, yeah. Most people probably haven't been around someone who's trans, but they have all these preconceived ideas of what trans is, what these people do. This is a little note. If you have Netflix, just go watch Disclosure. It's not the end all be all, but it's a great introduction to people. If you want to know what the media has done to the trans community,
that's what I was thinking of. That's the show I was thinking when we were talking earlier. Disclosure.
Yeah, okay. Disclosure.
Now, we got that out of the way.
Yeah. Watch it. If you haven't seen it, shock your mind. And if you don't know,
something that you brought up. And it's something that struck a chord with me. So I don't know if anyone's read Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime. Mm-hmm. He makes a very, very good point. He knows several different languages. He can communicate with several different types of people all at once. And what you said about language, like that is the biggest thing. And that's how the most barriers get breached is just, if it's part of your language, if it's part of your everyday language, then it does become a positive part of your, hopefully a positive part of your gym culture. Mm-hmm. So if you are somebody who's looking to, introduce something like this to your gym, call out the language that could be harmful and start using language that could lift even one person up. Mm-hmm. Just start with one. Make one person feel good in your space.
Yeah. And like, there's that whole idea that if you stand up for someone else, you are somehow bashing another person, which does not exist. You can support multiple people and it not be an agenda. It does not have to be a crusade. If we're going back to the idea, and I think this is what really strikes a chord with me is people like to say that like, oh, well, it's like the whole all lives matter, all people type of thing. It's like, okay, I agree with you, but have we created a system, or do we exist in a system that everyone is treated on an even playing field? Or are we saying everyone should be on an even playing field and more people are closer to that equality than others? If so, we don't need to cater to those who are on that line of equality. We should cater to the other people to bring them up to that line of the base level of skills. Therefore, it is not, that's when we get true, true equality, not conflated. So we're not focusing on them to give them extra shit. We're trying to just bring them to a baseline of, of whatever we perceive as normality is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So there was another reason I wanted to talk to you. I don't know. Me and you have this project we've been working on. This little thing, something about like inclusion and having hard conversations within gym spaces. Yeah. What is that? What's that about?
So, yeah, you and I, we just started talking at the role model camp, and I think what really kicked it off, where I was just like, I need to do this with Torrie. And I don't know what it didn't have a name yet. It was just, I need to do this with Torrie, because this is not something that I should do alone. It's definitely a community effort. And so AJ from the Role Model Grappling Camp, she asked us if we would talk next year about, I think we still have to give her a topic.
Yeah, we need to give her a title. We're working on the AJ, I promise.
We got it. We're working on it. We got the logo.
Yeah, boom. That's all the work.
Yeah. So it was just, I created this space, and yes, like some of it just happened naturally, and some of it, was through work. And honestly, there are issues I don't get to talk about. Kind of has to do with our skin tone and what's going on.
Yep.
Experiences that I'm just not going to have. Therefore, it was just like, well, who else is part of the LGBTQ community, and who can I talk to? Torrie. So, and it helps, that Torrie, I'm sure you guys know, very active in the community. You can call her.
Oh yeah, if you didn't know, super gay over here.
Queer as. Are we allowed to swear?
If you can't see, oh God. Okay. Oh yeah, we swear. If you can't see by my little rainbow already.
Oh, I love it.
Shirt. It's my Be a Nice Human shirt.
Oh, I said have a nice hump, and I was like.
I mean, to each their own. But no, I just wanted you to be a nice person, but like, yeah, be a nice human and have a nice hump.
Have a nice hump.
That's our tagline at the Create Spacing.
Actually, it was, make sure this barbell doesn't look like a dildo.
There you go. That was the main point.
It doesn't. Most people think it looks like a hose. I'm like, that's fine. It's a hose. Fine. I don't care. But anyways, okay. So we decided to call it Create Space, because we realized for change to happen, you have to give people a chance to change. And to do that, you have to create the space for it, which means you have to create a space for us to have these hard talks. So whether it be in our mastermind groups that we've actually kicked off last week, whether it be in, a podcast where we're going to kind of have a chit chat about this. And what's different about it, so there's a lot of talk about this overall, ever since March and the tragic death of George Floyd. It's all of a sudden, I don't mean to use this phrase, but like in white people world, everybody got woke.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, injustice toward Black people in 2020. Right. This is outrageous. And
then a lot of activism started to happen all at once. A lot of people flooding, what do we do? And it was an opportunity for people to, I'm going to emphasize, purchase the work of Black men and women or Black folk who have been teaching this for years. Yep. Okay. And don't just ask them to do the work, like just pay them for their work of, hey, here's how you can be a better human. Yep. Here's how you can do it. So what's different a little bit about us, and there's so many, and I'm sure like we can put some in show notes and whatnot, but there's so many. But the biggest thing that we notice is like, this is severely lacking in our jiu-jitsu and our barbell community. So that's who we're focusing on. We're focusing on gym owners, coaches, and students in these communities specifically. And we're hoping to reach, a big group of people. And I think our first mastermind, even though it did go long, like we had some good feedback of just like, I didn't know I was a part of this. I didn't know I was doing this. I didn't know this. And I, there was a lot of reflection happening, some guilt, but at this, but they excuse the term, they woke up to a few things going on in their own gyms that they're just like, I don't like that. And I didn't realize that, not that you don't realize that you can speak up against it. It is hard to speak up against it, especially if you don't know the right language, especially if you have people who are just going to spitfire their opinions that they frame as facts at you. So then if you're caught unprepared, then you feel stupid and you feel embarrassed and like maybe you shouldn't have said anything at all. It's like, no, we're hoping to provide some tools to help have these hard talks, to recognize these difficult things going on inside your gym, and just how to create a better space.
Well, yeah, it's and just so everyone knows, like, we're not Create Space is not a place where we're here to scold you and tell about all the terrible things you're doing wrong and how you can fix it. No, like she mentioned, we're creating space. We're creating a platform, a venue for people who want to change, who are aware that there's something that they can improve upon. Because at the end of the day, whether we're doing jujitsu, whether we're doing barbell, whether we're students, whether we're advancing our career, no one wants to stay stagnant. They want to move forward. They want to progress. So this is an area that there's a lot of topics that within jujitsu, we don't touch on either through our own ignorance or through like passivity we don't think about, or we assume it doesn't touch our niche community, even though it does. So even something as simple like when the whole, when we had these Black Lives Matter protests really, coming to the forefront, even though they'd been around for years, but when they really started coming to the forefront, I saw very, very, very quickly how the jiu-jitsu community responded to it. And for the most point, I was very disappointed, very disappointed in a lot of the responses, and disappointed from people who I've known for years. And it led almost to an emboldening of, harsher rhetoric to pass. And it gave a moment for me to reflect and realize that, jiu-jitsu in America is primarily white men. So why did I assume that in a country that's ran by white men, jiu-jitsu is somehow an escapism from the the societal actions or behavior that exists in every other field? Why would I think that jiu-jitsu is somehow exempt from it? It's not. They're carrying that same kind of thought process in there. And then me being a Black queer person, I'm bringing my same perspective in there as well. But as terrible as it was, there was also a pretty loud contingent, much smaller, that were actively like, oh, wow, this is really fucked. What are we going to do about it? Those are the people who we really want to reach out to, because if we impact those people, if we can help those people learn more, and also they're going to educate us about things that we might not, being quote unquote, well, we don't think about as much anymore. It gives them the tools to then go out and talk to their people, to explain to them why they took that step to expand their knowledge. So what we're trying to do is, we have that saying, jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but we want to work towards that, asking, is it really for everyone? Is it as open as we think it is? If it's not, why? And how can we fix it? Because we can't fix it until we understand the reasonings behind it. Again, that's in jiu-jitsu and that's in barbell, but it can be used in multiple other situations. So like I said, we're stoked about this project. We got the next year planned out.
We have the entire year planned out for.
Let me say, Jess planned a lot of it, because I am not that organized. I'm just like, yeah, that would work.
I need a script. I need to know where I'm going.
But so the official masterminds are going to start in April.
Yes.
But we'll have lead-in podcasts to let you guys know about the topics that we're going to cover. Like I said, we just did our first beta session, and the first podcast that'll be coming out shortly.
And that was on gym cult versus gym culture.
Yeah, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's going to be broken up into 4 to 5 weeks. So for anyone who's interested in the mastermind, there is going to be talk on business. So there's stuff for the entrepreneur, for the gym owner, or for the coach who's trying to build something. Because what I didn't say is like, yes, I own FitPOWER, but we're in our 10-year anniversary, and I did it. I've done it with no loans, like with no bank loans. I do it with no overhead. Yeah, there is a way to do business that you and the community can have good relations. Another one is on race, and Torrie is going to be the primary host of that one. One is called Your Ism is Showing. So we're talking about, different issues that come up, and these are going to be like little short, hour-long things. Our fourth one is on intersectionality, so how these all come together. And then our fifth week is just a bonus Q&A. It's just, what do you want to ask us about? What do you want to talk about today? And then that's what we're going to go over. So yeah, Mastermind, our first one begins in April.
Yeah, and we're still like ironing out a couple of the details, but we will have information about all that coming up very soon, and we will make sure to blast that on multiple channels so you guys can know how to join Create Space, what it all entails, and again, like how you can learn, how you can help us learn, how we can help our community grow into a better, more inclusive, more affirming area for all. So yeah, we only ran like an hour and 45 minutes past when I said we're gonna go. So like, go, we're killed it.
You're like, it'll be a half hour. It's like, Chris, I'll be home by 3. Don't worry.
Okay, it still is going to be a half hour. It's just gonna be like a half hour plus like an hour bonus episode. It's totally fine. All right, let everyone know how they can reach you and if they're interested in that virtual.
Oh yeah, the virtual program. Well. Yeah, if you're interested in the virtual training, email me at jessica@fitpowermke, so FITPOWERMKE.com. You can reach my personal Instagram account at Bossasaurus, so BOSS_A_SAURUS. And otherwise, our FitPOWER page on Facebook and on Instagram is at FitPOWERMKE. Pretty simple there. Yeah.
Dope. And it's probably like somewhere here in the description if you're viewing it. I forgot, like I always put the Instagram codes right on there. Here. Yeah, like that's all boom. Yeah, so thank you so very much. This was a blast. I literally will be talking to you next week anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll see you again in like 4 days.
All right, bye.
See you later.